It all started when I found myself bored one evening. I had recently been binge watching various conspiracy theory videos on YouTube, and the more I watched, the more intrigued I became by the concept of the deep web. The deep web, of course, is the part of the internet that isn't indexed by search engines, filled with hidden forums, sites, and networks that the average person would never encounter. I had always heard horror stories about it. The illegal marketplaces, the disturbing content, and the way people went missing after venturing too far into its darkest corners. But like most, I had always dismissed it as something that only happened to other people. I didn't think I'd be one of those who'd stumble into it. I had heard about Tor, a browser designed to help people navigate the deep web while maintaining their anonymity. It sounded harmless enough, and curiosity got the best of me. The thrill of potentially discovering something forbidden, something unseen by most of the world, was too tempting to resist. I downloaded Tor late one night, not fully knowing what I was getting into. I had heard that you could access sites with .onion domains, which were exclusive to Tor. There were no reviews, no comments from people I knew, just vague rumors and stories floating around the internet. Some were fascinated by it, others terrified. I didn't know which camp I would fall into. I set up Tor, nervously tapping on the keyboard as I followed tutorial videos. I thought I was being cautious. I turned off my location tracking, closed every other window on my browser, and read a lot of articles warning about the dangers. I told myself I wasn't going to engage with anything dangerous. I'd just explore a few harmless sites to satisfy my curiosity. It didn't take long to find something. I had heard that certain hidden wiki sites existed where you could find links to other deep web locations. I clicked on one, unsure of what to expect, and was met with a directory of links that led to various forums, marketplaces, and strange pages. The sheer volume of content was overwhelming. I clicked on a few, mostly innocuous-looking ones, forums about music, coding, and obscure topics I had no real interest in. They were strange, but not scary. That is, until I stumbled upon a link titled The Dark Hour. My curiosity got the better of me. I clicked on it. The page loaded, and I immediately felt something was wrong. It was stark, minimalist, with only a few lines of text. The background was black, and the text was a chilling red, like blood splattered across the screen. It read, "Do you dare to see what others cannot?" I hesitated for a moment. My heart raced as my fingers hovered over the keyboard. Part of me wanted to close the window and pretend like I hadn't seen it. But then, a sick part of me, an adrenaline-fueled curiosity, pushed me forward. I clicked on the enter button. What followed was nothing like I had expected. The page that opened up was filled with distorted, flickering images. A grainy video played automatically, showing a series of scenes. First, a dark alley at night, the camera trembling, moving in odd directions as if the person filming couldn't hold it steady. There was a muffled sound in the background, like someone breathing heavily. Then the camera zoomed in on a figure standing in the shadows, their face obscured by a hood. The figure stepped forward, and for just a split second, I saw something I would never be able to forget. The face, or rather the lack of it. It was as though the skin had been peeled away, exposing nothing but raw, pulsating muscle and sinew beneath. The screen flickered again, and the video cut to a different scene, a dimly lit room. The walls were covered in strange symbols and markings, their meanings beyond my understanding. There was a figure in the center of the room, bound to a chair. It was a man, his face swollen and bloody. His eyes were wide open, but his expression was not one of pain or fear. It was vacant, like he was no longer aware of his surroundings. My stomach churned. The video was like something out of a nightmare, unreal but undeniably horrifying. The camera focused on his eyes, zooming in until it was all you could see, and then the man blinked. He blinked slowly, almost deliberately, and as he did, a low, guttural growl emanated from somewhere within the room. It was like the sound of 1,000 voices, all speaking at once, but none of them making sense. I couldn't look away. The video kept playing, showing more disturbing footage, more faces, more people, more screams that seemed to echo through my entire body. I wanted to stop watching. I wanted to turn it off, but my hands were frozen. It was like the video had a hold on me, pulling me deeper into its twisted reality. Finally, the screen went black, and a message appeared in a stark white text. "Do you want to see more?" I stared at the words, my mind racing. Part of me wanted to click yes, to keep going, to satisfy the sick curiosity that had been building inside me. But the other part, the rational part, was screaming at me to close the browser, to shut everything down before it was too late. I don't know how long I sat there, paralyzed, before I finally closed the window. I was shaking. My heart was pounding in my chest, and I felt like something was watching me, lurking just behind me. I quickly disconnected from the deep web, shutting down Tor, and sat in silence, my mind reeling. I tried to convince myself it was just a video, just a sick joke played by someone on the other side of the screen. But deep down, I knew it was more than that. The unease stayed with me long after I shut off my computer. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those images. The man with the peeled face, the eyes that blinked too slowly, the strange symbols on the walls, and worse, there was something else. A whisper, faint but persistent, in the back of my mind. It wasn't a voice I could understand, but it was there. Something or someone was trying to get through. The next day, I decided to put it all behind me. I told myself it was just a one-time thing, just an accident, a momentary lapse in judgment. But then things started happening. It started small. At first, it was little things. I would hear sounds in my apartment that I couldn't explain. Footsteps outside my door when I knew no one was there. Scratching noises coming from the walls in the middle of the night. Then the dreams began. At first, they were just vague, unsettling dreams, flashes of images that didn't make sense. But soon the dreams became more vivid, more terrifying. I dreamed of the same man from the video, his face, or lack of it, appearing in the darkness. His eyes would follow me no matter where I ran. And that whisper? It grew louder, more insistent. It was like it was calling my name. I was beginning to lose my grip on reality. One night I was sitting in my apartment, unable to sleep, when my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen, expecting a message from a friend, but instead there was a link, just a single link with no text, no explanation. It was a .onion link. My heart skipped a beat. I knew immediately that it had come from the deep web. I didn't click it. I couldn't. But something about it felt familiar. It felt like the same thing I had seen before. The same feeling that had taken hold of me when I first watched the video. I decided to delete the message and forget about it, but the feeling of being watched never left. Every time I turned on my computer, the sense that someone or something was lurking just beyond the screen grew stronger. I stopped going out. I stopped answering calls. I couldn't trust anyone, not even myself. It felt like I was being drawn back into the abyss, like I was inescapably tied to whatever nightmare I had stumbled upon. Then a week later, I received a package. It arrived in the middle of the day. There was no return address, and it was wrapped in plain brown paper. I opened it with trembling hands, expecting the worst, but inside was only a small, black envelope. I tore it open, and there, inside, was a single photograph. It was a picture of me. I froze, staring at the photo in horror. It was taken in my own apartment, in my living room. I could tell because the bookshelf in the background was the same one I had. But the worst part was the figure in the corner. A man. The same man from the video, standing just behind me, his face hidden in shadow. I dropped the photo, my hands shaking uncontrollably. I backed away from it, feeling a cold sweat break out across my skin. There was no way someone could have taken that picture. I had been alone in my apartment when it arrived. That was the last straw. I couldn't ignore it any longer. The deep web, that terrifying corner of the internet, had followed me into my life, and I had no idea how to escape. I wish I could say that it ended there, that I found a way to make it stop. But the truth is, I don't know what happened. I don't know who sent the package or how they knew where I lived. But I can tell you this. After that night, I never went near the deep web again. I disconnected from the internet entirely, and I never felt safe in my own home.